The Crimean Peninsula, a strategic region located on the Black Sea. It is also one of the most important reasons for the war between Russia and Ukraine. The strategic importance of the region has been appetizing the Russian Federation for many years. Therefore, the Russian Federation invaded the Crimean Peninsula in 2014 and ignited the biggest war of the century. So, will the Crimean Peninsula really remain Russia's forever? Recently, Russian sources shared a rather warm developments with the public. Later, Ukrainian sources concluded the allegations made by Russian sources. The Ukrainian Armed Forces have been seen on Crimean Peninsula for the first time since the beginning of the war. In addition, Ukrainian troops had also flown the Ukrainian flag on the Crimean Peninsula. The Russian Federation, on the other hand, was almost shaken by this news. So, what are the details of the Ukrainian army's operations on the Crimean Peninsula? Let's examine these important events together. The operation codename is Amphibious Crimea. Russian sources announced with a great sadness these operations carried out by the Ukrainian army. Because Russia's so-called impenetrable defense systems had been breached, Ukrainian troops who were not caught on radar had carried out an operations on the western coast of the Crimean Peninsula near the settlements of Olenivka and Mayak. Moreover, the Russian troops had noticed the operations in question quite late. We are learning the details of the operations from the statements of the head of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, Major General Kirilo Budanov. According to Budanov, the personnel of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine carried out a joint operations with the Ukrainian Navy. However, let's hear the details of the incidents first from Andrei Yusov, the spokesman of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine. Units of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine landed to Crimea as part of the special operations, and all missions were completed. At the end of this special operation, the Ukrainian defenders left the scene without casualties. Late at night, the personnel of the main intelligence directorate of the Ukraine went out to Tarkhankot promontory located in the west of Crimean Peninsula. Ukrainian personnel carried out reconnaissance operations at many points in the region. In addition, Ukrainian personnel hung a huge Ukrainian flag on a building. Images of the Ukrainian flag hanging were also posted on social media. However, Russian troops in the region failed to notice the presence of the Ukrainian personnel for a long time. For a long time, Ukrainian personnel stations in the western part of Crimean Peninsula and conducting reconnaissance captured quite important information. While Russian troops noticed presence of Ukrainian personnel on the Crimean Peninsula, it was time for the operations to end. Ukrainian personnel were also leaving the Crimean Peninsula. Meanwhile, Russian troops opened fire on Ukrainian troops. The Ukrainian soldiers who used the camouflage advantage in the region quite successfully retreated to the coastal sectors in a controlled manner. Meanwhile, the conflict was continuing between Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers. Ukrainian soldiers riding on amphibious boats had completed the amphibious Crimean operation without casualties. During the clashes that took place near the end of the operation, Russian troops suffered heavy losses. Together with the operation that took place against the morning on the Crimean Peninsula, Ukraine found a great morale. Moreover, the fact that this operation took place on the Independence Day of Ukraine was a very striking detail. The pro-war Russian war riders, on the other hand, were almost lashing out the Russian government. How could the Russian armed forces not have prevented such an operation? Where was Russian intelligence when the Ukrainian army was conducting a down operation on the Crimean Peninsula? The Russian war riders were almost asking the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, to account for these questions. At the beginning of our report, we mentioned that the head of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, Major General Kirilo Budanov, made a statement. Major General Budanov made the following statements about the operations carried out on the Crimean Peninsula. This special operation in Crimea is a vital, first of all, to make people believe, especially not the people on the Ukrainian mainland, but the people in Crimea. We need them to remember that the victory is very close and believe in it. The liberation of our people in Crimea is not far away. No one will leave the Crimeans under the occupation. Let's say that when there are a number of attacks on the Crimean territory, their work will not end with this. There will be a ground operation and our land will be liberated. Everyone will be home soon. Major General Bogdanov's statements were viewed by millions of users on social media. In addition, these statements caused a great enthusiasm among all Ukrainians, especially Crimeans. The effects of the operations on the Crimean peninsula are likely to continue for a long time. Many military experts claim that the operation on the Crimean peninsula has greatly damaged Russia's power in the region. The Ukrainian personnel who have entered the Crimean peninsula have almost destroyed the morale of the Russian troops. Moreover, the fact that the Ukrainian soldiers also hung a huge Ukrainian flag on a building on Crimean peninsula opens up the legitimacy of the Russian Federation in the region to debate. We expect that we will encounter lots of developments related to these operations in the coming days. Many Ukrainian sources claim that the amphibious Crimean operation is just the beginning. The president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, on the other hand, remains silent about the attacks in question, because he has other matters to take care of. The skies of Moscow have lit up with the drone attacks once again. Late at night, 2 unmanned aerial vehicles appeared in the skies of Moscow. Sources connected to the Russian Defense Ministry claim that these unmanned aerial vehicles belong to Ukraine and the unmanned aerial vehicles were destroyed by the air defense systems. However, after the statements by the Russian Defense Ministry, it was announced that all airports located in the Russian capital Moscow were closed for flights. If unmanned aerial vehicles were destroyed, why were airports closed for flights? Later, the Russian Defense Ministry issued statements again. In these statements, it was announced that an S-200 missile converted to the attack version was shot down by Russian air defense systems in Kaluga. In this region, there was a Shakhovka military air base, which is very important military aviation base for Russia. We cannot give more details because the developments in the region are very recent. However, local sources claim that there is a mood of great panic in the area, especially this event, which took place after the death of Wagner leader Prigozhin and the amphibious Crimean operation, increases the fear in Russia. And what do you think? Do you think the operations in Crimean Peninsula were successful? Do you think that the Ukrainian troops will carry out operations on the Crimean Peninsula again? How do you think the amphibious Crimean operation will affect the war? What do you think about the attacks in Moscow? We care about your opinions, please share them with us.